We are called Iced Earth, and they are called DaBelly. That's what that is. How's that?
That works.
All right.
Hi, this is Dave from DaBelly, and we're at the press room tonight in Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to talk to none other than Iced Earth. Welcome, Jon and Stu.
Hey. Thanks for having us here.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Doing well. You've got an album that's been out now for 6 or 8 months, Incorruptible. I'd like to talk a little bit about it. It's the first chance I've had to talk to you about it, and it's a great record. It really is. It's a special record, and I was just curious on how it all came together. I can't say it's different from your last albums, but at the same time, it's a special record that everybody seems to be bowing to. Talk a little bit about it.
I just think it's one of those moments where everything was lining up the right way. The band was well rested. We had a good period off after some really heavy touring.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really good energy behind the record. So I think you can feel that.
Well, it's amazing when those, everything seems to come into alignment, all the stars come into alignment. The process for writing the record, I know you guys write a little bit separately and also a little bit together. How did the presentation of the songs come together? I mean, you must have written more than the tracks that are on the record itself. How did you pick and choose, and how did that all fit in?
Well, Jon and I write together. Jon writes all the music. He's the composer. He has the vision, and then I help write with lyrics and melodies and all that kind of stuff. But we throw things back and forth, and but yeah, that's kind of my contribute. That's how I contribute to it.
Yeah. The process of it was really not very different than what we normally do. It's just that I think, like I said, the band was rested. There was time off, and the last album, Plagues of Babylon, was really kind of wedged in between 2 massive world tours, and we were playing festivals in it, and we were working in studios in Germany and with different engineers and unfamiliar environments. It was a big challenge, the whole thing, just getting through the process at just about every step. I mean, and it still is a very cool record, but it came, it's one of those ones that where you learn a lesson where it's not about art needs to have time to develop, and the energy behind the art, in order for it to really flow well, you can't just say, okay, we're going to block this part on a calendar and make a record. You can do that, but the chances of that becoming a classic record when you have a catalog the size of Iced Earth and as many records that are considered classics by the fans, it's unlikely that it'll happen. It's better if you let things flow naturally. And I had several musical arrangements that in the writing process that did not get used on Incorruptible, but will be used on other projects in the future. So, that's in whittling down to it. It's like they're really, with the way the industry is now, there's no point in trying to fill out 74 minutes on a CD. It's just not really worth it. So we're going back to the days of, here's the amount of songs that we can do for a record, 22 minutes a time before the audio quality degrades. And so we're looking at those length of records going forward, and that determines really we went through and we picked what we felt were the right songs for the flow of what the record would ultimately be. So
The only direction I read, doing the prep for the interview, the only directions I read going into this was you guys said, I don't want to do a concept record, I just want to do a record, I just want to do some songs. So it kind of takes the leash off, doesn't it? And gives you guys the opportunity to just open up and pull out some of the old things that have been floating around for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff just even from a personal standpoint, we were able to get off of our chest, and stuff that even Jon had floating around in his head for years, and we're able to become to fruition. So yeah, I think definitely there was a lot of cool stuff that we were able to do.
We did a couple of videos for this, 4 I think were the singles that released on it.
Lyric videos. Yeah, 3 of them were lyric videos and 1 real video.
And how did you choose those songs? Why did you choose only one regular videos compared to the lyric videos?
Well, the lyric videos are a pretty low-cost promotional tool for the record companies to use, and in the world of YouTube, it seems to be a thing that a lot of people are doing these days. And the songs that were chosen were really just from feedback, of what, like which should be the first. And there was a discussion sort of going back and forth. Well, Heathen is a pretty typical Iced Earth song. Seven-Headed Whore's more of a kick in the balls. So, and since at first they wanted to release 2 singles at the same time, and I didn't really like that idea. I felt like we need at least a 24-hour break so that people have a chance to absorb one and then the other. And so the opposite end of the spectrum from Seven-Headed Whore is a song like Raven Wing. So that was the first 24-hour drop that we did. First Seven-Headed Whore, then Raven Wing, and then Heathen and Clear the Way were later. But those, it shows the dynamic of Iced Earth, and that part of it was pretty cool because we've always had those dynamics. I mean, for many, many, many records of the really aggressive stuff and the big melodic stuff and epic and whatever. So that was it was just discussion with the label, with management, with ourselves of, like, what do we think is going to represent a good segment of this record, which has all of the qualities of Iced Earth in it. I think that's one of the things they really love about it is you've got the big epic with Clear the Way, but it's not too big. It's not so over the top like Gettysburg is,
right. But
it's still epic for sure. And you've got very traditional Iced Earth tracks. You got the big ballads. You've got the raging stuff. It's got it all, man.
It's a roller coaster. Yeah, definitely.
I agree with you absolutely. Yeah. I know that you finished up your pre-production and then wedged a tour in there before actually sitting down and doing the recording itself. Did you get a chance to test drive any of the new songs on that tour?
We did. Heathen. Yeah, Heathen. We did. Yeah, Heathen. That was actually really cool to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that was the first time I'd ever done that. We'd never done that. I don't know if you had before me, but
what?
To test drive a song before
that was. Yeah. I think. Well, I mean, in the early days, there was things like that, but
it was really cool to be able to do that, to be able to see it live and give it to the people, like, and that deliver it before they were actually able to hear it on the record.
Yeah, just because we were running behind. Yeah. That's the only reason. I mean, it was, it wouldn't have changed anything because I mean, the song was the song, so it's not like we were testing whether it's good enough. We know it is.
Yeah,
we know what we're doing when it comes to Iced Earth.
That was actually my next question. Did it force you to actually rethink or manipulate any of the lyrics or anything? Yeah, but
no. It came together quite nicely.
So you've mentioned that you had some time off. I know that you had surgery and all, and you also had an opportunity to go out and buy a couple of buildings, put together a recording studio, kind of build a home. Talk about the importance of that, and having an actual home for yourselves to sit down and hit the same studio every time now and do all those good things.
Well, it's a really actually important thing for where we're headed and what we want to do ultimately. The studio, it's a place where we can store the gear that we tour with, archives, office, studio, place to crash, and that all works out pretty good. But putting the time and the effort and a lot of personal physical labor to keep costs down, I like doing that kind of stuff anyway, and had some really good friends helping me with it, and it was just it's the right move because the pre-production for Iced Earth is really one of the most crucial parts of making a record. It actually is the most crucial part because we live globally. Stu lives in Canada, Luke's in the UK, Jake's in California, Brent's in Florida, I'm in Indiana, so we can't just get together and jam on the weekend. That gets pretty costly if you want to do that. So it's all about it's all about keeping things efficient, and pre-production's a big deal because for them to be able to hear where things are going, we have to do really, really detailed demos. So having a place like that where we know we're going to end up doing master tracking as well, to work from the ground up on the ideas is it's the perfect scenario, and it just happens to sound really badass in there too. Yeah, so that's a cool thing.
That's great that you put that effort in and you get the positive, the great result out of it as you did. I want to talk a moment about in the inspiration of writing songs. I know that Jon is a big history buff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find your inspiration, Stu? Is it like public events or?
Oh, I mean, everyday life as well. Things, events that have happened in your life. I like to storytell. I've had stories in my head, like The Relic. There's definitely stories in my head that I've had swirling around that now I've been able to given the opportunity to be able to write them. But it stems from a lot of different things, life experience and just nonfiction and fiction, that kind of stuff. I enjoy history. I'm not as well versed as Jon, but I definitely enjoy certain periods in history, and I think it's very enjoyable to be able to actually write a song about it, and you learn a lot about it as well. Maybe you start digging into the song, you start digging into that history, you start learning about new things that maybe you didn't know about, that kind of stuff. So it's actually really, really cool to be able to do that. And now that I'm in Iced Earth, there's more opportunity to do that, and it's really, really cool and very educational as well.
It's great to hear. So this is a great tour package you got together. Kill Ritual along with Sanctuary and you guys hitting the road. And talk about the importance of putting together a good tour package. Getting out and reaching out to the fans and so on. I know you just finished the meet and greet and everything, but talk a little bit about that.
Well, packages are important, and it depends on what your goals are for the tour that you're doing. It is certainly an Iced Earth headline tour, and but it's a total honor to have Sanctuary out as support, because those guys are, for me, Refuge Denied is one of the greatest heavy metal records of all time. And I mean, I love Into the Mirror Black. I spent a lot of time on the road with Worrell and Jim, both from Sanctuary, when they were Nevermore. We lived together on 3 tour buses for lengthy times, and then we toured the United States together also. So, when all of this happened, when Worrell passed away, it was very, very tragic, because I'd spoken to him just a couple days before he went to Brazil, and he was excited about doing a solo record and excited about the tour. So obviously when that news came in, it was just devastating. But I'm a big supporter of Lenny and of his compositions and the band, and I love Sanctuary, and I was really excited when they got back together and they were making a new record on Century Media. And so, the whole thing is just very tragic, but I helped in every way that I could in whatever decision was going to be made about them coming and doing this tour or not. Because I was, it's different, when you're connected, not only as a fan of those guys, but then all the time the personal time that I spent with Worrell and Jim through the years. And so but it was so fresh when it happened, and I wanted to give Lenny and the guys the time to figure, what do you want to do? But now we're getting close to where we have to make a decision. So, he asked me if I knew anybody that I thought could do it, if they were going to make it as a tribute to Worrell and a farewell thing. And I hooked him up with Joseph, and he was the only guy available that I could think of that could do the parts. And it just worked out really great. They're getting a really good reaction, and people appreciate this tribute to Worrell, and it's a cool thing. But it's sad. We get pretty choked up sometimes, and especially when we were in Seattle. That was a difficult day.
Yeah, it was just a few days back. I know. It's funny. The fans don't really look at it as other than, I love your music, it's rock and roll, but there's a reality to it, a life to it as well, and sometimes tragedy happens. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt. Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got tonight. Is there anything I missed? Anything you guys want to talk about?
No, just really, really happy that the fans are taking in the album the way they are, and gonna bring more metal to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thinking violence is what's on walls. Someone talking 'cause it's their forte. We've been 60s, so come for the charge.